Here we go.
Come on, Gal.
You said I disagree. I'm totally disagreeing.
If you've got a can-do attitude in your organisation, you always succeed.
Funny game, Rugby League. You're a funny man. You're a funny man.
The greatest game of all is back.
He's the Rookie of the Year from here to Mars.
Queensland didn't need to pump it. I'm only joking.
What a sight that is.
He's 18, he wouldn't know what a hip drop was. You think it's a rock and roll song?
You'd be an idiot not to think that this has been going on for some time.
Did Michael Maguire use the Blues as a stepping stone to getting another club?
How's that for entertainment?
Give me a
They're
break.
the rules that we play by.
You never followed the rules in your life and you want to follow the rules.
Yes, hello and welcome to 100% Footy. It is great to have your company live and free on Channel 9 season 2025 upon us. And it's great to be with you yet again. Hello, Paul Gallen.
Hey, Brace.
Michael Chemis.
Jamil.
Top Dog.
James Bracey, how you doing?
Very well. And our special guest here tonight, the one, the only Mr. Nathan Cleary. Great to see you, Nate.
You too, mate.
A lot to discuss with you tonight. Now, you might be wondering at home after seeing endless promotions for it. Cameron Smith, one of the greatest players of all time, is set to be our brand new panellist each and every week here on 100% Footy. Not here tonight, and here is the man himself to explain.
G'day fellas, and good evening to everyone watching at home. I just want to send my quick apologies for not being able to be on the show tonight. I was very much looking forward to being a part of the very first episode for 2025, but stuck here on the Gold Coast, tending to a few matters at home. As you all know, ex-tropical cyclone Alfred, it come through southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales, and it's done a fair bit of damage. So have a great show, fellas, and to all of those out there affected by the cyclone in southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales, we're sending our best wishes to you. Stay safe. Take care.
Well said, Cam, and we'll be seeing that man here from next week on 100% Footy. I will say, though, not far down the road from Cam, the Titans, they've got the doggies, your boys on Sunday night, Gus. They're heading to Sydney early. These are the scenes at their training base. The water above the crossbar.
Wow.
So pretty heavy scenes there, so you can kind of understand exactly what has been unfolding over the past few days. And as Cam said, we're wishing everyone all the best to those affected both on the northern side of the border in Queensland and northern New South Wales as well. But let's get into 100% Footy because the menu, it is a long one tonight. This guy's in the house. We're going to be talking all things Vegas, the pursuit of 5 straight premierships and so much more with Nathan Cleary here tonight. A man he knows pretty well too, Terrell May, goes one-on-one with Michael Chemis about his time now at the Tigers, and the big breaking news tonight, Dylan Brown is leaving the blue and gold. Let's get stuck into that in just moments. But tonight, as we always ask, what did we learn? And Gal, we start from you with the opening round, which went over 2 weekends.
It did. Well, I know that when you retire, people forget you pretty quickly, but have a listen to this.
Is Josh Adokar on your side or on the other side?
Not this week, he's not.
Isn't he?
Oh,
he's suspended, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, okay.
Foxy's at home training.
All right. No one gives you a chance. What do you say to that?
That's where we want to be, mate.
Good on you. Good luck.
Thanks. Good on you.
Back to you, Danica.
He played at your club. I think you might have even suspended him, and you forgot about him in 5 months. Poor Fox. I'm feeling so Foxy. I feel for you, mate. Don't worry. Foxy, I will not forget you.
Wait a minute. How did I forget about him if I asked about him?
Because you thought he was playing, so you forgot it. You forgot after everything that happened that he was suspended from your club.
I'm getting old. I'd been in Vegas. I thought it was round 2. I thought his suspension had ended.
You know what?
Or I could say I was testing Zach Lomax to see if he knew
The
what the
fact you're
team
in
was.
Vegas, I'll give you that one, because I had some issues over there as well. So.
Did you ever? We'll get to that shortly. Gus, anything you learnt from the opening round in particular?
No, I'm going to go back to the Vegas weekend. It's our first show of the season. We didn't get to cover the Vegas extravaganza. It was absolutely sensational. Look, if you're a sporting fan in Australia, put this on your bucket list to go across there, just to see the stadium, to experience Vegas. And got around to look at all the facilities and watching the teams train and where they were training and planning, because I think one day the Bulldogs will have to go to Vegas. We want to go to Vegas. But the whole thing was just spectacular. Well done by the NRL and all the teams that were there, and a lot of fun was had by all. Magnificent stadium. Magnificent.
Allegiant Stadium. We'll be to get the ins and outs of that with a man that was out there on the pitch very soon in the second of those NRL matches. What about you, Chammy? You survived Vegas for back-to-back years?
Yeah, I did. What I learnt this weekend, poor old Cameron McInnes cops a lot, for his post-match media appearances. Yeah, I don't know why. He's a specimen, Cameron McInnes. But Kurt Mann on the weekend.
Yeah,
Jeez,
wow.
What about this? It didn't turn out really well for Kurt Mann after the Dragons game. He doesn't look well, Gus. Is he all right?
He's all right. I phoned him tonight and it's opened up. He can see out of it now. So it looks a lot worse than it is. It's just probably just need to nick it, a little bit of blood out. He's okay.
It looks like
He'll be on the right on the week.
It's not Rocky, mate. It's not a Rocky movie. It's not a Rocky movie.
Yeah, just cut it. Just.
No.
Must have run into an inflatable baseball bat.
They don't let me near the doctor's surgery there, I can tell you.
Nathan, you've done your homework. What did you learn from the round that was?
Yeah, I've learned that Gus is actually a massive Mass fan.
Ah, yes, it's true.
Quite interesting.
We noticed this.
Now, don't come on first show of the weekend. Don't come on. They've put you up to this.
Have a squeeze.
It's just what I learned.
We're here today for the union of two parties, MAFS and the NRL. I'm going to show you all the logos of the NRL teams and you have to tell me which team they're for. Ready?
All right, I'm ready. Penrith?
No.
Not even close.
That looks like the toothpaste, the red and white and blue.
I don't think she's got a sporting bone in her body.
You're on a dating app. Is this a yes or no?
My standards are pretty low. It'd probably be a yes. I don't know where Penrith is. I've never heard of this place before.
You've never heard of Penrith?
No.
Well, you're going to hear about it now.
Okay.
What does this image make you feel?
I kind of see some resemblance there, actually.
Is this seriously?
Very good, Gus. You still a fan?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. They conned me into that. I'll never understand television. I'll never understand it. But it was great.
Good fun.
Yeah.
We love our maths, but we certainly love our rugby league here. Let's get to the big
I can't believe Nathan did that.
breaking news. Threw him under the bus early. He's allowed to, mate. He's not his boss anymore. Let's get into it. Michael Chemis, huge news today. There's been so much off-season conjecture about Dylan Brown and his future, and the news is that he's leaving Parramatta at season's end.
Yeah, Brace, massive news today. Dylan Brown, 10-year deal worth $13 to $14 million to join the Newcastle Knights. Turned down the option in his favour at the Parramatta Eels, which, to be fair, is quite a lucrative deal in itself. It's worth around $1.1 million if he stayed at Parramatta, but instead he's packing his bags at the end of the season and heading to Newcastle. And to be honest with you, we would have been more surprised if he turned down that offer. That is the largest, most lucrative contract in the history of the game. It's huge, and good luck to Dylan Brown. It's a massive signing for the Newcastle Knights.
Nathan, when the news broke late today, your initial reaction?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I think a 10-year deal with that sort of money, it's just, haven't really seen anything like that since Tamalolo signed his 10-year deal. But, as Michael was saying, I think it's pretty hard to turn down a deal like that. It sets him and his future family up for life, really. So, it's no surprise.
I think the first thing I'm asking if I'm a Newcastle fan is the people who made the decision to sign him for 10 years, are they going to be there in 10 years' time? Because if this doesn't work, if this fails, who's to pay? Who has to answer the question? I mean, this game is such a tough game. It's so physical. These days, with all the head knocks, the injuries, things can go wrong pretty quickly. In 2 or 3 years' time, if all of a sudden he cops a string of head knocks and he can't play and can't fulfil his contract, the club now have to pay the contract. It's not insured anymore. There's no insurance in the CBA agreement, so they now have to pay his contract out, whether that comes out of the salary cap or out of their bottom line somewhere. It has to be paid. Now, I hope it works out for him. I hope he goes out there and kills them. I hope they win a comp or two and everything works out okay. But I just think it's a little bit irresponsible to sign someone to a 10-year deal. The money, I'm all for players earning as much money as they can. So well done, Dylan, on the deal. I think it's a fantastic deal for yourself. But I just think it's a little bit irresponsible by certain people at the club, and I hope whoever made the decision is still there in 10 years' time.
Gus, I know you'd happily double the money and probably the length to sign this guy sitting next to us tonight on set.
Yeah, what's he worth?
Well, that's another of the questions to be asked as well off the back of this. But what do you make of it? Is it bad business if you're a Knights fan?
Well, first of all, just let me say, for those that want to criticise the money or criticise the player that they've signed, what have you, this is not Dylan Brown's doing. This is his manager, and it's the game, and it's the people who negotiate the contracts at Newcastle. Don't blame Dylan Brown for taking a great offer like this, and I'm all for players earning as much as they can. But so far as the game itself, I've long held the belief that our playmakers are very underpaid, and probably other positions are overpaid. Dylan Brown is 24 years of age. I've said repeatedly that I think the career of the the NRL playmaker now is between 25 and 35 years of age. That's when they're matured. They actually know their game and they know what they're looking for. And our senior playmakers are amongst the best in the competition and the best in history right at the moment. So they're buying him for the prime part of his career, all right? Is he the player that's going to change the Newcastle Knights' fortune? Is he a game manager? Is he a kicker? No, he's not any of those things. So obviously they've seen something in him that they need. But a lot of it too comes out of the desperation of our game. We've got so few playmakers available. It's been proven that you need representative class playmakers to challenge for premierships in this competition. That's just a given. And we don't have enough for every team in the competition. There's only a handful of them that can get the job done. Dylan Brown is seen as the next wave. We've got 3 or 4 really senior playmakers that are about to retire in the next couple of years. And we keep looking at what's coming underneath that. And Dylan Brown is probably one of the more explosive young ball runners in the competition. And I can see why they've taken the gamble. I'm not that worried about the money, and I'm not that worried about the 10 years either, because I think they're getting him in the prime of his career. Is he the right player at the moment? There are things he's got to do to his game to get to that position, I think, at this stage.
Gus,
he's still young enough to do it.
What's it do to the rest of the market from your point? I don't have an issue with him earning that money either. I think it's fantastic, and that he gets to earn that sort of money. But all of a sudden, the next halfback comes along at Parramatta. He might be a young kid, 20 years of age, maybe played a game or two at first grade, might be on 200,000 or 300,000. Next thing, his manager's walking in saying, well, hang on, he's about to take his spot. He's got 1.3.
Yep.
I want 800 or 900 for him when he might be worth 4 or 5. Yep. How's that going to affect the
I think I made this comment
through?
years ago when Fafita moved from Broncos to Gold Coast. Remember that? And I said it was an irresponsible deal at the time, over $1 million for a back row forward. I'm not so critical of this one because playmakers, I think, are underpaid in general. I think the value of the playmaker in your salary cap is a lot more than what we pay them. And I think in some other positions are way overpaid.
But do you think it will inflate? Do you think it will inflate the next crop coming through?
That's the nature of it. That's what it is.
I sort of think.
I think our young playmakers, it's going to put a lot of scrutiny on them, and I won't embarrass Nathan with this, but you've got to be very careful with the young ones, not paying them too much too early and putting too much scrutiny on and too much pressure on, because we've seen that fail in a number of occasions. We've seen young players that couldn't deal with the pressure and couldn't deal with the scrutiny of media and everything that goes along with big pay packages. You've got to manage them through that process and hope they're sensible enough to see it too, because really, their first grade career really doesn't start till they're 25.
Do you think
if they're going to be greats.
Do you think from a Newcastle perspective, Gus, it's a bit of a panic buy? Because there's been a number of things they've missed out in the last 6 months. They've obviously brought Peter O'Sullivan in to do recruitment. They've missed out on Jonah Pezzett, Hazelton. They lost Leo Thompson, young fella heading up to the Dolphins, Seb Sewer. It feels like they needed a win. And to get that win, and not only just for the club, but also to show Kalen Ponga that they're building towards something, because we're all hearing the whispers about where does Kalen Ponga end up, are the Roosters circling? That noise isn't going away. So they're trying to build a roster to convince Kalen that he's worth staying at. But in the meantime, the pursuit of short-term success or that need for a kill isn't going to leave them in a vulnerable situation long term.
That's the juggling act that you do when you're managing a roster. Now, you've talked about players that they've missed out on, players that they offered money to. I guess their thinking now is if we've got a Dylan Brown, that's an attraction for people to come and play. And I put this down on the Bulldogs. If the Bulldogs hadn't assigned Matt Burton when they did, there's no Cameron Ciraldo, there's no Viliami Kickout, there's no Steve Crichton, there's no sort of those ilk of players coming along because they can actually see that there's a marquee player that's taken his career choice to go to that club. I think it's really important for Newcastle going forward. If Dylan Brown can be a success, if he can be the player that they want, that's going to help them retain players and it's going to help them get players. It's also going to help the development of younger players coming through the system. You know what I'm like with development. That's the making of your club. That's the DNA of your club. And even to retain players, you need living, breathing examples of professional football. I don't know Dylan. I've never met Dylan as a person. I can only assume that they've done their due diligence and he's the sort of player that they need. And maybe in time, when all these older halves retire, all right, and we've got the new sort of crop leading the way, he's an attraction for the Newcastle Knights to sign those other players that they want.
Nathan, I want to follow up on a few of these issues that have been raised with you. Dylan Brown as the player, what do you see in him that can help justify the pressure that now is going to come on his shoulders once he puts on a Knights jersey next year?
Yeah, well, I think there's been a lot of talk about him being a 6 rather than a 7, and he's obviously been signed up to Newcastle as a 7. But one thing about his game that I really like is how square he plays. And I think that'll just open up so much room for Kalen out the back, and I think him and Kalen could really form a dynamic duo and a really dangerous duo to come up against. And as Gus is talking about, actually helps then back rowers and centres and wingers want to play at their club because they're getting all this space and time to go into holes and all that sort of stuff as well.
I don't want to go too long on this. Last year's grand final, the two best teams by a long, long way. You've got the Melbourne Storm that play with 3 fullbacks and a hooker. And you and Jerome ran for more metres in that game than any game all season, all right? Is the role of the playmaker in big games more about the running than the actual passing and playmaking these days?
Yeah, I think that has to be your first line of thought, especially in big games. You know, you sort of lose half the team in those sort of back and forward games because everyone's just so tired and fatigued. So then the runs become much more explosive. You're going up against tired forwards, so the fast guys, the smaller guys start to come into the game. And I think running has to be
which he's dynamic.
Yeah, for sure.
He's dynamic.
Well, him and Pong are both. They're both very strong. They're both fast. So yeah, I think.
What worries me about the Knights is they've got so much of their salary cap tied up amongst them 2 players. You still need to lay a platform. Now, they've got Saifidi on big money, Best on big money. We talk about trying to attract talent. How much can they pay that talent? Are they almost robbing Peter to pay Paul?
They might have to develop it.
Yeah,
they're going to have to develop
They've got a decent nursery up there, yeah.
They've got to have to develop. Well, everyone should have to develop their talent. That's the DNA of your club. That's where it's eventually going to come from. But to have living and breathing examples of marquee players up there in the top, that helps. That helps you keep players. It helps you attract the other players that you might need, that you can't fill through your junior nursery system. Every now and then you're going to have to get out and buy a player.
You know the salary cap better than anyone. Would you have that much money tied up in 2 players?
If they were the right 2 players, yeah.
Penrith are going through at the moment. Like, if you talk about Parramatta on the flip side, what it's going to mean, Mitchell Moses has just been upgraded significantly to be the main man. You're going through it a little bit now at the moment. You lose Jerome Luai, then you're able to reshape your roster and invest in other positions, right? How have you found that change? Because last year, almost $2 million in the salary cap, if not more, in your halves.
Yeah, I think when it first started happening, it was difficult. It's like, you grow up with these guys and you just want to stay together forever, but it's just not the business of the game. And you start to realise that it gives other people new opportunities. They bring in new energy, new blood. I think we are really lucky at Penrith with the junior nursery that we have. We've constantly got young guys knocking down the door, and when they come into first grade, they're ready to be first graders, and I think that's really important. But then it also, like, this year is sort of the first time we've actually been able to go to Isaiah Papali'i and Blades Talangi and bring them in, and that sort of makes it exciting too. And I think they're sort of guys that want to come to a club and improve and test themselves. And it is difficult losing your best mates, but then you just make new ones and you create memories with them too.
How far along the track until you believe there could be a $2 million player in the NRL?
I think Gus is the right person to answer that. I don't know.
Well, he wants to give you 2.5 if you're an option. So.
That'd be nice.
Depends on what time.
You got that much in the cap. You got that much left.
Hey?
You got that much in the cap left.
I'll find it, baby.
Do you feel, Gus, with 3 years to go on this broadcast deal, hypothetically the next one's 5 years, that somewhere in that window?
Well, that's the issue around what the next broadcast deal is going to look like and what salary cap's going to look like. I mean, a 10-year commitment, this goes well beyond the next broadcast rights deal. I don't know. I can't tell you the future of media. I can't tell you the future of broadcast deals. The NRL's doing really well commercially. I doubt the salary cap will ever come down, but, you know, everything has a limit at some stage. I don't think we're just going to keep storing up the way we've been storing up.
I don't think.
And I think honestly, the game needs to be a bit more flexible in the corporate dollars that these fellas attract as well. Like, we don't want everything they're earning in the salary cap and taking money away from their mates and money away from the team growing. That's the hard part of building a team over a period of time, is that if they have success, the salary cap punishes it, all right? And then the senior players feel guilty because they're earning what they need to earn, but they could earn that corporately. They could go out and get that sponsorship-wise if the club knew or had the scope to be able to do that. So I think we need to be more flexible like that.
All right, we'll just add another 0 on there for you too, Nathan.
Poor old Matt Cameron's worried about the door. He's getting a knock on the door tomorrow from Nathan.
We'll get that signed in the ad break. Stay with us. You are watching 100%, episode number 1 for season 2025. When we return, our star in the spotlight. Yes, Monday nights with Nathan Cleary. We've got a lot to discuss with the game's best player right after this very short break. Welcome back to 100% Footy, our Monday night star in the spotlight. Yes, it is Nathan Cleary who joins us live here tonight. Great to have your company at home as well. Nathan, 4 straight premierships, 5 straight grand finals. There's very few boxes you haven't ticked, but I noted post-match in Vegas just how elated you were with the experience of being there. Obviously coming away with the 2 competition points in round 1's huge, but as a whole, fill us in.
Yeah, it was just a mad experience. It felt like a grand final week almost on steroids. Like just the way the week went, there was obviously the fan interactions and all that. And I think having the other teams there made it cool as well. Like the English fans were just going crazy, which just added to the whole experience. And then, yeah, just to be able to get a win in that stadium and everything going on, yeah, it was special.
Now, they interviewed over in Vegas, and you gave the best answer I've ever been given, to be honest. I asked you about the success and where do you keep finding the motivation. You said it's fun. Now, Brace has mentioned, and that's what we all see. We see the fun, we see the celebrations post-game, interactions with the fans, but can you give us a bit of insight into what don't we see? You know, the repetition, how hard you guys work, how often are you taken to a place where you've really got to find something in the off-season in particular?
Yeah, I will tell you, like, none of this comes if we were just having fun all the time at training. Like, we do work hard, and pre-season's a very tough time of year, but we sort of know how it works. And if you want to get to the top of the mountain, you want to win those premierships, you got to, you know, put in the work during the pre-season and continue that throughout the season and keep trying to improve and keep trying to get better. And that's something we really pride ourselves on is, yeah, just seeing each day as a new opportunity to get better. Have you got a player there? Like I look at someone like Liam Martin, I watch him play. Everything he does is just 100 miles an hour sprints. It reminds me, Luke Lewis, when we won the premiership in 2016, he's kick sprinted every single time. Liam Martin, everything he does, he's just 100 miles an hour. Does he train like that? From time to time.
So
This has been his best pre-season by far, I reckon. And it showed in that game. Like, I think he's in for a massive year. I think there's definitely a lot of guys, particularly young guys that come in, they're really impressive with just how hard they train and they're just prepared to get better. And it feels like they're just grateful to be around the group. People like Liam Henry come to mind. He played a lot of games last year, front rower. And he's just 100 miles an hour. Some of their wrestle sessions are just so intense. I like him. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's, you know, iron sharpens iron and you just keep that mentality.
The 4 trophy lifts there from back to back to back to back premierships. It is crazy. You did it in pink last year. I want to go back to Vegas. A couple of key things. Smaller pitch over there. Did you have any issues with the dimensions, in particular with kicking?
To be honest, I didn't notice it at all. You know, I remember people talking about it last year. Then you watch the games and it was like, oh, I don't think it affected it. And then we did a little bit of training on the same dimensions as the Vegas field. And yeah, I didn't really feel any different. I think the fact that the ground and the stands are so close to the field, it just sort of, you just get your bearings pretty quickly. So to be honest, the goal kicking was nice though. It felt like it was closer the whole time.
Right, okay, that's
yeah, that was the only time I really
That was the advantage there. Now, speaking of the goal kicking, there was one fan in the stands who did their best to distract you when you were going for that one from the sideline here, because you say how close you are. Yoink. What was that?
That was me, by the way.
It was a packet of shapes. I had a look at it straight away. And
never in doubt.
Yeah, I honestly thought, I'm surprised that's never happened before. You played all these away grounds and, you know, people are heckling you, but I've never had anything thrown at me. So I sort of thought about, after I kicked the goal, turn around, trying to find them and be a bit arrogant, but I thought, you know, I'll just run it.
Nailed it, and not surprised by it. The drive for 5 this year in 2025 too. It's got a ring to it. I can already see you lot with your shirts if you're successful in the end with it. That motivation that Gal talks about, the fun. What about the old man? What's Ivan doing to try and liven things up when you're just doing it so regularly?
Yeah, well, it's definitely not something that you get bored with. Like, that's always the end goal, and it's the end goal for every team that starts out. So knowing that everyone starts on 0 points, everyone wants to win the competition. Like, you just have to be better. If you're riding on the success of the previous years, everyone's going to go past you. And, you know, I think something we talk about a lot as well, it doesn't really feel like we're chasing a 5th premiership because the team has changed so much. Yep. There's so many new guys that come in, and there's guys now that haven't even won one competition. So you want them to share that same success, share those same feelings, create the memories. And yeah, as I said to Gal, it's honestly just fun doing it. So yeah, I don't want to stop anytime soon.
Good. One of the things that doesn't get a lot of commentary or doesn't get a lot of publicity, and I know would be very important to you, but everyone talks about the skills and the fitness and the toughness and everything they do, the mental side of the game, how Penrith has become such a composed and professional side under all circumstances, in close finishes, day, night, wet, dry, hot, cold, like everything that's going on there seems to be a mental strength there at the moment where you're virtually breaking the will of the opposition. You're virtually just waiting for them to beat themselves and then seizing upon it. How much work goes into the mental side of the game?
Yeah, a lot. I think just about as much as the physical side, to be honest. You know NRL is going to be tough physically, but one thing I learned early on in my career was that I thought I thought it was going to be really tough physically. I thought that was going to be the hardest thing. But then once you get there, it's like, yeah, it's hard, but the mental side of it and getting up each week and the media around it and all that was such a shock to me. And it probably, I'm glad I learned that early in my career, and I think now it's coming into the game a lot more, and it's something that we just teach everyone, and we do it as a team, and it's how you build connectedness as well. But it's also what gives trust in the hardest moments in a game when you're down on the scoreboard or you're not playing your best, just to find that mental strength and trust the person next to you to come over the top. And I think teams do know that we're never going to just roll over and give up. We're just going to keep coming no matter what.
What do you say to young playmakers? I mean, you've been through it. You debuted at a very young age and you've been able to maintain that all this way through. You're now 28 years of age, so you've been through it.
27.
27.
Yeah.
Well, he's a November baby, so he's very late. But the advice to younger playmakers about time and patience in the game, and and concentrating on the longer term rather than the short term results. When did you really feel like the game was yours, like you were actually in control of everything that was going on out there? And when did you really feel like the leader, playmaker, game controller that you are today?
I think it was that 2020 year. So I think I was 22 at the time, maybe, 100 games in. I remember you actually said to me early in my career, it's like you actually become a first grade player when you get to 100 NRL games, and that's when you want to start dominating games. And you want to do it from the start. Like I was a perfectionist. I wanted to be the best, and I wanted to constantly play well. But it's not the case. You got to learn things through experience, and of course, you just got to get those physical reps in time after time after time, and do the extras and work hard. But you also got to understand it's not going to happen overnight. You got to learn these things, and I definitely learn it the hard way sometimes. But I'm so grateful for those moments. I think it's shaped me today.
You see young playmakers emerging in other clubs, and they start to get a bit of a rap. And obviously, you'd watch them just to see what they're like. Yeah. Do you think as though we give up on them too early? The game gives up on them too early. It puts too much pressure on them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we sort of touched on it before about the big contracts for young players, and sometimes it's hard. These kids come in and they're trying to support their family, so they want the big contracts, of course, for the money. But the money will come later down the line if you just apply your trade and learn off older guys and make mistakes. And that's back on the clubs as well. You got to allow these guys to make mistakes. I'm a prime example. It didn't happen overnight for me. I was okay when I was coming in playing first grade, but I was nothing to what I am now. And I do think clubs got to give them time, but it's also then if you give them the big contract, then that comes with expectations. And I am a big believer that all the money and all that stuff will come later down the line if you play well and if you're given the opportunity to have time.
Now, Nath, we know Gus loves maths. You saw me. I love maths. We can't let you go over to us and question about your love life. What's happening? What's going on? What's going with Mary? I need to know. We're still in a maths audience.
TMZ.
We're still in a maths audience.
Have you turned journalist or something?
Yeah, I just want to know what's going on.
Tell him to get stuffed. Tell him nothing.
No, it's really good. I love it. So
he's happy.
Yeah, I'm happy.
And you got to see Mary over in the US, which must have been a huge buzz to be able to do that on the other side of the world when you're playing rugby league.
Yeah, it was. It was lucky that it lined up. I had to sweet talk Dad a bit, just let him know that I'd play well if I got to see her. So yeah, it's always nice when I can to see her, because obviously with the long distance and all that. But grateful for that.
All right. Well done, Gal. Good. That's brilliant.
He thinks he's Richard Wilkins.
Very intrusive.
Hey, stay with us. Nathan's going to hang around for a little bit longer, because after the break, one of his, a man that he knows very well, Terrell May, goes one-on-one with Michael Chemis. A bit to chat about with the Tigers' new recruit, on what's been behind him and what's ahead at his new club. Stay with us. More to come right after the break.
Oh, bro. I was in a deep, dark hole. I put on like 30 kilos in 3 months. Just wasn't motivated to do anything in life. I had no job, just being a bum at home, living off my parents. And I walked out to the lounge room and my whole family was sitting there. There was about 7 of them laughing at me. I was big, I was like 135 kgs. Then I was just like, got angry. And I said, watch this, you're gonna regret laughing at me, I'm gonna make it.
What was a normal day in the life of Terrell May, a teenager?
I was a nobody in school. I was just known for being the May brother, because my brother was popular at school, both of them. So yeah, I just went to school, got roasted by all the teachers, like saying I was never good enough. Even some of the boys back in school used to like mock me and that.
Do you think you're misunderstood?
I am tatted up. I wear chains, I wear bum bags, I got it ready, and obviously I came into the game with my family already hated, so people will just assume, but I remember people were looking at me like I'm gonna steal their car when I walk around the eastern suburbs, and I was just like, what the hell, like, this is normal out west, like, people like look at that and think, yeah, you're mad, like yeah, in the east, you judge me how you want to judge me.
What do you want to achieve out of your career?
Everyone wants to achieve stuff on the field, but mine's off the field. Like, I want to achieve retiring my parents, you know, being a good family man.
Sounds like on the field's a bonus as well as off the field.
Yeah. On the field's bonus. Like, if that stuff comes, like Origin, playing for Australia, that kind of stuff, that's bonus. And you know, I couldn't have dreamed of anything better if I do achieve that one day.
A big day of news in rugby league. Sydney Roosters prop Terrell May has been told that he is free to look around at other clubs and explore options for next season.
Take me back to that moment the phone call comes in. You're in England with the Samoan team?
Yeah.
Who called?
Robbo, like, he just called me out of the blue. Like, there was no lead up or anything. It was just, I need to give you a call. And then I thought of the best things, like he's going to tell me I'm fighting for a starting spot, you know, going to do Blues rookie camp and all that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, went the whole 180 of what I thought.
What's your first reaction?
Well, honestly, I couldn't speak, Like, what just happened? Like, is my career done? Like, is anyone going to pick me up? So I was just thinking of the worst of the worst.
Are you bitter?
I was bitter, to be honest. The first couple of days, I was dirty, like, but now I just see it as like, how could you be dirty on someone? They done it to Mitchell Pearce, you know, one of the legends of the clubs, and you were just there for a couple of years, so why should you be bitter? Just move on. I wouldn't be the player or the person I was without Robbo, to be honest. Like, even though he went about it, like, not good, but I wouldn't be the player or person I was without the club or Robbo. They showed so much love to me. When no one knew me, they threw me a contract, you know. You wouldn't even know Terrell May if it wasn't for the club.
When you first were told the Tigers were interested?
Benji called me. I was like, oh yeah, I want to speak to Benji, because obviously I knew him for the past and just wanted to hear what he said, and got to that meeting and everything he said was just like me, like just the older version of me, and I was like, you know what? I told my manager, bro, I think this is the one, And yeah, now we're here.
He most certainly is. Terrell May, a Tiger after a short stint at the Roosters, sitting down there in the camping chairs with Michael Chemis at a local park. Chevy, what'd you learn most from your chat with him?
Yeah, look, I think people have this perception or this assumption, as he said, of what people they are, that the May family, obviously been well documented, some of the indiscretions in the past, but I found Terrell to be really respectful there in that conversation. I know there was a lot of talk last year about why he left the Roosters so suddenly, so abruptly, and he was really hurt by this assertion that it was because he wasn't good for the team culture. Did he fit in there? He said that he was really close to a lot of people there, and he was shocked by the decision with Trent Robinson. He was really close to Trent Robinson. I'm not convinced it was solely a Trent Robinson decision. I think the Roosters, with Mitchell Orbison as general manager, as a club, made a decision that, you know, Terrell, Brandon Smith, they were going to go in a different direction. And you know what? The Roosters' loss is the Tigers' gain. He was superb for him in a losing team the other night. There's talk, you know, he could be knocking down the door for Origin. But Nathan, you've known Terrell, the family, for a long time. I take that interview as no surprise to you, the sort of person that he came across as there.
Not at all. I think he's a very honest person, and I think that's something I respect about him massively. And you know, you have to respect his journey of what he's been able to do, turn around from when he wasn't even playing rugby league, got out to 130 kilos, like he said, and now he's a prime prop in the game. And I think, as you touched on, I thought for the Tigers he was massive the other night. I thought he was the best player on the field for them, and yeah, he's only getting better with each week. So yeah, really happy for him.
And today, Michael, massive news surrounding his brother Taylor.
Yeah. He was due to face court today, Taylor May, on domestic violence charges. Those charges were withdrawn for Taylor May. I spoke to Peter V'landys today, the ARL Commission Chairman, about what that meant, because at the moment, as we all know, he's under the NRL no-fault stand-down policy. There was a severance payout from the Penrith Panthers. He's no longer contracted to an NRL club. And Peter V'landys said he's free to play. He's free to play. The NRL no-fault stand-down policy does not apply. There are no charges against him. They have now been withdrawn. So I wrote last week when I was in Vegas that there were a couple of Sydney clubs keeping an eye, making inquiries with Taylor to see how his fitness was, how his mental health was, just in case that these charges didn't lead to him spending time behind bars. So I think that you'll find in due course, I think the West Tigers, I think Benji Marshall has spoken to Taylor May over the last few months to keep an eye on how he's going. It's obvious Terrell's at the club. It's not a surprise that if the Tigers were to go and get in the market for Taylor, and when you consider Justin Oldham's on the verge of retirement at the moment, going through some paperwork there, and Brent Naden's got a knee injury. So to me, it makes perfect sense. They were already looking for outside backs before those guys went down. Do you think, if all things go, get the NRL ticks it off, that he'd be a good fit there with, Sunia Taruva, his brother, Jerome, a lot of guys he played with?
I think he would be a good fit. He'd be a good fit at any club. He's so talented, Taylor, and he belongs in the NRL. I want to see him get his career back on track after what's happened, and I think watching him play with Terrell, as much as it'd be hard to come up against him, I think it would be a great story, and I think they would just go to another level, them two playing alongside each other.
Nathan, I know you watched a lot of footy over the weekend, having played the previous one in Vegas. Your old mate Jerome Luai at the Tigers. What did you make of his first performance? A narrow loss to Newcastle, but he was everywhere.
Yeah, he always is, and he brings this energy as well, and just him being the captain now, you see when he runs out and he's just yelling, and that brings everyone up with him, and I think he's only going to get better. Getting uppy back's going to help a lot. But yeah, I'm really keen to see how his journey goes. I think, he's only going to go strength for strength. The more games he gets with, obviously a new halves pair and a new spine, but just his energy alone, I think that's what makes Tigers fans excited, and also the rest of his team.
Brian Toto went out there. Why weren't you there?
Oh,
wow! There's a feud. There's a rift.
Time to get stuff, mate.
There's a rift in the rift.
There's not a rift. Bizza told me that he was getting punished the whole night too. So
was he? Yeah. Probably best you didn't. You're ready this Friday night, live and free on 9. The Roosters are waiting. Ready to go?
Yeah, I'm very keen. It's always a great rivalry, East versus West, and always have tough games against them. Obviously, they're going to bounce back from the game against the Broncos, and I'm very wary of what they will bring. And
this is the start of your stint at CommBank Stadium as the home ground, while Panthers Stadium gets a rebuild. Are you going to get the crowds through the gates? Some incentives to get them there? Maybe, obviously, winning helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think if we play the game that we want to, it'll bring the crowds in. We've sort of spoken about that. Is like we've got to actually, we've got to force them to come. We've got to force them to come watch the show. And as much as we'd love to have all the Panthers fans there, we would love to have all the Panthers fans there. I'm actually really excited to play at CommBank. It's a great stadium, great atmosphere, but the more people can get there, the better.
We'll be there.
How do the players actually feel about it? So I remember when the Sharks had to go to Cogra, the players did it, but they weren't overly happy. I mean, playing at Penrith, you virtually marked down 12 home games for you, 12 wins.
Yeah, I always loved playing at Penrith. I know all the other boys did as well, but, we can't change it. It's not there this year. And I think there is genuine excitement amongst the group about playing at CommBank because we've played there before in Battle of the West when it's a good crowd and the atmosphere you feel is incredible and it's really loud. So if we can get the crowd that we got at Penrith to CommBank Stadium, I think, it'll be rocking.
Nathan, great to have you here. Good to catch up with the old boss too, mate.
Yeah, it's good. Good to see you.
Taught him everything he knows.
Mate, all the best Friday night. We'll see you there. Thanks for dropping by tonight. Nathan Cleary joining us here on Nine's Wide World of Sports. 100% footy. It's episode 1. After the break, the return of Scuttlebutt. Michael's been working the phones and plenty doing around the grounds. We're back with more right after this.
You got a scoop for us, guys. You know something. I might be wrong. Why was this wrong? Well, he can't even done the dogs then if he's dealing in facts.
Don't stop me.
Scuttlebutt Central live here on Nine's Wide World of Sports, 100% footy, and it returns. Michael Chemis, the man in the spotlight right now. Lockie Galvin, a lot of chat about the Tigers and the future of this young rising star. After that chat with Nathan, not trying to put too much pressure on a young bloke. Unfortunately, there is, in particular, as to whether or not he'll stay a Tiger. What's the
at least he's not on a lot of money at the moment, so the pressure is just based on the hype around him at the moment. But no secret, the West Tigers want to try and secure him to a long-term deal. Free agent on November 1 if they don't do so. And the Tigers, over the off-season, met with his manager, met with Lockie Galvin, and tried to get him to commit to the club long term. Now, this doesn't mean he won't, but at the moment they're in no rush. Lockie Galvin's in no rush to commit to the West Tigers, and the management are out there basically letting it be known to every club that get your checkbook ready because we're hitting November 1, which, no, it's an interesting one because the Tigers, if they do offer him an upgrade, he can get paid a lot more than he is over the next 2 years, which other clubs can't do, right? But on the flip side, it seems as though the management or Lockie are balking at extending just yet. They want to see how the year transpires, and I imagine there'll be plenty of suitors lining up with that checkbook.
Any in particular?
I don't know. I'm sure there'll be plenty. Well, Parramatta will be an interesting one because he's a Parramatta junior. Dylan Brown leaving. Could be something there for Parramatta with some money to spend. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but Gus has ended a 10-year feud with his manager, so maybe Gus can have a chat with Isaac and see what happens at the Bulldogs. I don't know. Scuttlebutt, that's what we do. We just throw things out there.
That's exactly what you do.
Look for reactions.
I'm watching the face. I'm watching the face.
Is David Clemmer going to stay a Tiger?
Look, this could be resolved tomorrow. The conversations between the Tigers at the moment, they've got to work out a settlement payment. It's surrounding the second year. Do the Tigers pay him anything for that second year where he had options in his contract? If he played 14 games, they're trying to work that out. It has till 4 p.m. tomorrow. If they put that in tomorrow and they agree to release and the Dragons sign him by 4 p.m, he'll play this week. At the moment, there's a bit of back and forth around the money and what that looked like. My understanding is the NRL will look favourably upon an exemption for the Dragons to get him in because they haven't got a spot. That belongs to Francis Molo. He hasn't been released just as yet, but the NRL will look at an exemption.
We thought the inflatable baseball bat in the elevator with the Raiders was the only scandal of Vegas 2025. We were wrong. The Nines event that was being held over there. A bit of drama.
Well, Nick Politis, yes, he's in the headlines for... I don't know what the word is. So berating a referee? I don't know. I spoke to Nick today about it. His version of events is different to the letter that went in complaining about his behaviour towards a referee overseas. I don't think the NRL will do anything about this, to be honest with you. It's a Nines tournament. Nick denies that he was aggressive towards the official. I'm just surprised. He was there 8-9 hours watching the LA Roosters, who he's invested $500,000 for.
Yeah.
Look, I get it. There are going to be people out there who want Nick to be made an example of, but I can't see the NRL cracking down about a Nines tournament in Vegas.
A bit of off-field issue too with Doggies Dragons game over the weekend as well, involving a meat pie.
Yeah, that was bizarre. The video of a Dragons fan throwing meat pie at a Doggies fan. The police are now looking into this. I spoke to the NRL today. They've said that's in the hands of the police. I think they've identified the person who threw the meat pie. You'd imagine once this is dealt with by the police, the NRL will get involved and he will be banned from games in the future. So it was stupidity out there.
I was there on the weekend and both sets of fans were really well behaved. I was actually shocked when I saw that and probably a little bit disappointed, as we all are, because I thought everyone there was in a really good mood. It was a good game and I thought they all behaved really well.
Just a bizarre thing.
Yeah, bizarre.
And it wasn't. There's the throwing, but there's the filming of the whole lead up,
and
going and buying the pie.
The bloke could see him filming it, and then he still threw it. I almost thought it was a setup when I first saw it.
Yeah, makes no sense. The things people do to get on social media and go viral these days, which the Top Dog doesn't do.
It's disrespectful to the pie. That's what
it's a waste of a good pie,
isn't it?
And there was a lot of sauce on it too. Gus, the Dogs' performance first up for season 2025. What did you make of it?
Yeah, happy with that. We had several key players missing for that game and some new additions to the club. We had 3 new players to the club and taking on the Dragons at home in front of a sellout crowd, and the Dragons had trialled really well. So just happy that the things that we established last year for the intensity of our game and their discipline and all that sort of things came through, and they were able to get a good win. They led 28-6 at one stage and looked like running away with it, but the Dragons came back.
Handy signing, this bloke.
He's been outstanding, yeah. He's to do what he did on the weekend just speaks volumes for his professionalism. He hasn't trained with the squad for most of the off-season. He was late back for training because he played in the Pacific Cup last year and then did a hamstring in early January. He's virtually been just rehabbing himself, getting ready. We weren't sure he'd be ready for round 1, and he comes out and performs like this. Wonderful acquisition, both on and off the field. He's a real pro, and he's had a great impact on our club.
So Tilly Tupanua in full flight. It's quite a sight, isn't it? Stay with us here on 100% Footy. Gee, it's good to be back. Our tab top 3 is next. Who should be the face of the NRL's new video game? All that and plenty more still to come. Stay with us. Want more footy? Well, we're providing just that here on Nine's Wide World of Sports. Freddie in the 8th, they're hitting Broadway. Yes, Wednesday nights on 9. These two gibberers, along with the great Denica Mason, will be talking all things footy, having a bit of fun. There's a lot of gibber between these guys. I remember hosting this back when I started here. We were just going out on YouTube to about 3 people, and look at them now.
You made
If you'd have told me 20 years ago that those two gibberers would have their own TV show, I'd have locked you up. Fair dinkum.
Good luck, Danica. Have fun with that one.
It's a funny game, rugby league. It's a funny game.
Wednesday it all gets underway. It is a funny game. Now our tab top three, you'll be seeing a bit of this in season 2025 here on 100% Footy. Now the Hello Sport guys on their podcast recently caught up with NRL CEO Andrew Abdo. He revealed there's a new NRL game coming out soon. I didn't realise it had been so far between instalments of this, but it is a thing. So the big talking point is always around who should be on the front of the cover. Gal, did you ever get a Guernsey?
Yeah, my son plays it pretty much every day.
Hey, wait, are you on the cover?
No, I'm not on the cover, but I'm in the game.
You were rated like 60 or something.
Was that good or bad?
Slow, nah, you were slow.
No, shut up.
I play a lot. You were very slow.
My young bloke plays it all the time. I often score. So.
Now our fellow pedalist who will be returning next week after he gets through what he's going through in South East Queensland. He was on the PS3 game back in, I don't know what year that is, but he was on there. They've done some handy work with the art there for him. Now, you talk about some of the faces in the game. You've got a few to choose from these days as well. Crikey, Tamika Upton, Jerome Luai, Trell, our man Nathan who was here earlier, Kalen, and Reece Lightning at the back there for Rugby League.
Is that what it's going to be?
Well, do you just pile them all in there like that, or do you simplify it a bit?
It's just one.
Or maybe two, like a couple.
Yeah,
Jamie Chapman and the Hammer.
Good idea.
You know, it's love on the front
I think it was Calvin. No, well, you wouldn't argue with that one. You wouldn't argue with Reece Walsh, but I think
you definitely couldn't argue with that.
Can we get Gus commentating in it? It'd be brilliant.
I'm assuming.
I'm pretty sure Vossi does.
I think Vossi and I did the first couple of years, and it takes hours and hours and hours and hours in a studio to commentate it all. Yeah.
As long as there's a good wedge in it, though. And then what about Nathan Cleary? His great performance on the panel tonight. What about, how's he go on the front cover of it?
And Ivan.
Ivan slips in the back there. It's kind of... I don't know about that photo of Nathan either, at least.
Yeah, it's a little bit creepy.
Yeah,
Sorry, Nate.
The head's out of proportion.
Yeah, something's not working there.
What done to him?
Or, you know, you could just really ramp things up and go... Rated R.
Look at that hair.
Caught a manager too.
How to manage a football team.
That's very UK-ish.
A bit like Moneyball. What do you reckon?
What were you doing there, Gus?
That was a long time ago.
Is that after the Sam Booker night?
That's an Origin.
Would you prefer manager or coach?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm not either.
Not according to others.
They call me general manager. I say I generally manage.
Gus, if they come knocking on the door for you to lay some voice down for the newest video game?
I'm a bit old for that, mate.
It's actually a good game. My young boy plays it on pretty much every day. It's actually really good, so I'm hoping I get a copy.
You're a gamer, aren't you, Chevy?
Yeah, mate, I'm really excited. We'll do a whole season. Do it in one night.
Play the whole season.
The whole season in one night?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Did that at Origin camp.
You've got kids. How are you doing that?
When you were my roommate in Origin camp, well, you were next door. You complained about noise. You had a noise complaint. You know that? He complained about the noise coming from our room.
You could probably do it. You could probably do it with AI now. If you played enough of Ray Warren's commentary to AI, they could probably do it for you.
There you go.
AI could do it for you.
Done.
In an instant.
You're out of a gig.
And save on the coin too.
I know Ray would want to be paid.
Oh yeah, and so would Gal if he was involved. Stay with us.
I just want a copy.
100% Footy after the break. Our preview of round two, some hot tips from Gus and Gal right after this short breather. Tip time for round two of the National Rugby League on Nine's Wide World of Sports. Thursday night footy, thanks to Kia, coming to you from Newcastle. Knight v Dolphin, Gal.
I'm going the Knights in that one.
What about you, Gus?
Knight.
Okay, emphatic from both of you there for the home side. Friday, live and free from Combank Stadium. It is, of course, a Penrith home game against the Chook, Gus.
Panther.
Panther.
Yeah.
Bye for you.
Yeah, bye for you. And Sunday, live and free from 3, the Eels and the Tigers.
Just forget Parramatta went around on the weekend. That was an aberration. I think they'll improve greatly, but I'm tipping the Tiger to win.
No, listen, you can't back them, then not back them.
What?
You just backed them, then didn't back them in the game.
I said they'll improve.
But they won't win.
They won't win.
No, I'm with you. Tigers will win that one too.
Okay.
All right, I'll tip Parramatta.
They're beautiful.
Just for the sake of it. They'll bounce back.
Good.
Is this an each way bet?
I don't mean anything I say, James. If they all haven't worked out, I've been kidding you.
You just had an each way bet, so if one wins, you win anyway. I told you that win. That's what you'll say.
Probably.
Gee, it's good to be back. Who's played Penrith in the grand final this year after what you saw in round one?
Melbourne Storm.
Yeah, well, they've still got to catch Melbourne and Penrith, all the rest of the teams in the competition. Manly were great.
Yep.
Manly were great.
So too Bronco.
Don't forget my Sharkies.
Great to
Storm
be back.
Panther.
Thank you, Gal. Thank you, Gus. Thank you, Chevy. Lots of scuttle. Thanks for joining us live on 9. See you next week. Bye-bye.
This has been another presentation from Nine's Wide World of Sports.